So yeah, this is a tough time slot, right? The sun is out, and I'm the only thing between you and cocktail hour, almost. So hopefully you aren't too tired to pay attention. But yeah, as Melissa mentioned, my name is Søren Widmer from Aalborg University, and we've been doing some experiments with Pure and Generative AI that we would like to share with the Pure community. So, why talk about this? Can we do a quick raise of hands? Who here has heard about ChatGPT? Yeah, maybe I should have asked who hadn't heard of ChatGPT. So obviously we wanted to investigate if this technology could somehow be applied in the context of Pure and research information management. And it quickly became evident that it's not so much a question of if it can be applied, it's a question of how and when it will totally revolutionize the way we work with research information management, at least in my perspective. So I'm going to be sharing these experiments that we've done. It's important to set the scope correctly here. In this presentation, I'll be sharing ideas and experiments. So this is more a conceptual presentation. These services are in no way implemented or in production, not yet at least. And obviously, to implement generative AI in a service like Pure with the native support, as an example, would require lots more testing, analysis, discovery, and so on. So these are not implemented services, right? Generative AI is, of course, more than just ChatGPT, but due to time constraints and the sheer complexity of just ChatGPT, that's what I decided to focus on in this presentation. So I'll be using a mixed approach where we'll be looking at some manual user inputs in the ChatGPT interface. I'll be using the advanced data analysis module in ChatGPT, and I'll be using OpenAI's API to trigger some responses. So let's take a look at some of these cases. I've chosen 6 different use cases. I could probably have chosen 100, but we only have 20 minutes, so I tried to find 6 different cases that we are going to look at today. So the first one is, how can we use ChatGPT to improve the data quality of external organizations in Pure? How can we use ChatGPT to enrich researcher profiles based on the data we have in Pure already? How can we use it to generate keywords based on abstracts from Pure? How can we use it to structure unstructured data? How can we use it to assess which organizational affiliations are relevant for specific pieces of research output? And how can we use ChatGPT to write impact stories based on Pure data? Sorry about the typo here. So without further ado, let's dive into case number 1. Okay, so this external organizations, it's everybody's favorite content type in Pure, right? Yeah, ours as well. So we have an issue in Pure. We have many external organizations which has the type unknown. And of course, we want to have the correct type on as many external organizations as possible to gain more insights about our collaboration and so on. So these are the types that we currently have in Pure, and we want to change many of these unknown to one of the appropriate types, right? So how can we do that by using ChatGPT? Well, the first one, the simple approach, is to use the user interface. So you ask ChatGPT to define the type of organization based on the ones you have in Pure. You extract the external organizations from Pure, you define a prompt or a query, you insert the table, and you evaluate the response you get. You can ask it to be more aggressive, to add the level of confidence in the answer and so on. Evaluate the response and write the data back into Pure using the API if you're happy. And you can see an example here to the right. It works, but what if we want to do more? So the same approach in method number 2, but instead of using the interface, we use the advanced data analysis module. So we extract the organizations from Pure as CSV, we upload the CSV file to ChatGPT and ask it to do the same. So what are the results here? Is it actually doing anything? Yeah, it actually is. So we have a baseline of 800 random external organizations with the type unknown, and you can see the distribution after the processing by ChatGPT. So we went roughly from 800 unknown to 200 of the type other external organization. Did it choose the right one, though? That's of course important to know. This would definitely acquire a lot more detailed analysis, but based on 100 random samples, 5 of the 100 are clearly wrong, 26 are inconclusive. So roughly around 75% are correct. Not bad. Method number 3, you could use this Python script to do the heavy lifting for you. Same approach, extract the organizations from Pure, send it to ChatGPT's API, have it output it as a CSV file, evaluate, and write it back into Pure using the Pure API. Or skip the CSV part and do it directly from the Pure API to the Pure API. Same issue with country, right? We have a lot of external organizations in Pure with no country, and we would obviously like to have country on more of these organizations. We can use the same approach, extract the external organizations, upload it to ChatGPT, evaluate the output, write it back into Pure. So how does it perform? Well, in this example, I started out with roughly 600 external organizations which had no country. And what did we end up with? So out of the 628, it managed to find a country for around 50% of these. Out of these 50%, around 86% had a right country. It's a pretty high success rate, I would say. This required some reprompting and some additional context in some cases. I also tried, priming it with sort of mixed results. Priming in the sense that I started by uploading a data set which I knew was correct and told the ChatGPT that this is what I'm aiming for. Use this when you conduct your when you process the next data set. But again, not bad, can definitely be a help in determining a country for external organizations. Okay, the next one up here is how we can use it to enrich researcher and organization profiles. So the issue in Pure we have is that we have many academics without a profile description text. That can be time consuming, that can be hard, or people don't have the time, people don't care, I don't know. But we would like to have a profile description on as many profiles as possible to improve the profiling and the searchability of the portal, right? Let's see if we can use ChatGPT to help us a bit with this based on what we already have in Pure. So what I did in this case was that I extracted a publication list from a random researcher from Pure. I defined a prompt, please create a 15-line researcher profile description for Jane Doe based on this publication list. Hit enter, evaluate the response, and it generates a description. Might be a bit too generic for some people, but of course you can ask it to write it in a different way, to write it in third person or whatever you prefer. You can also translate the description into layman terms. You can translate it to other languages as well. So that's definitely also something that can be used as a way to generate text content. And this is obviously something you would want your researchers, to sign off on. I don't imagine that this is something that you can just automate, obviously. But it can be a help, to get started. And if you have no description, this is probably a good way to get started. Why not also do the same for a research group? We have many research groups and organizations in Pure which have no sort of text-based description about what their research areas are and what their expertise lies within. So the same approach can be applied here. You can ask ChatGPT to create a short text description based on the group's publication lists. Same approach, extract the publications, define a prompt, evaluate and edit the response if necessary. Okay, moving along from external organizations. This case is about how you can create keywords based on abstracts that you have in Pure. So we have quite a few research outputs with no keywords, and I mean everyone likes keywords, so we would like to have some keywords on these publications. One way to do it is, of course, use the interface, ask it to generate some keywords based on the abstract. Another way to do it is to use this Python script and grab a cup of coffee or a beer while it does the hard work for you. So this script, basically what it does is that it fetches the abstract from the Pure API. It sends it to ChatGPT's API and asks the API to generate a number of keywords based on the abstract. And in the last part, it writes the keywords back to the research output in Pure. So that's a way to automate the keyword generation based on the data you have in Pure already. Case number 4. So I don't know if this is an issue for you guys, but at least for us, we use the press media content type in Pure. And one of the issues we struggle with is that the media field on press media is a free text field. So these are unstructured data. And you can see the example here on the right that this is actually the same radio show, but it has different timestamps, so it makes it difficult to do any reporting on the number of mentions in this specific radio show. So let's try to get some help from ChatGPT to normalize or structure these unstructured data a little bit. So what I've done in this case is that I started by creating what I call an authority list, which is a list of names of media outlets, you know, the desired output I would like to end up with after normalization. Then I extracted the press media references from Pure and created a prompt asking ChatGPT to normalize the media names according to the list I created in step 1. And this is the result, right? So on the left-hand side, we have the table before normalization. You can see the column to the right. We have a lot of different variants and ways to spell the same sort of media outlet. And on the right, you have the same table after normalization with ChatGPT. And you can see that it's actually cleaned up the names of the media quite nicely. So that's also a way to use it. I know there are other tools that can do this as well, but this is at least an easy way to accomplish it without much knowledge of what goes on behind the scenes. Case number 5. So in this case, I did some testing on how you can use ChatGPT to assess which organizational affiliations are relevant to specific research output. I don't know if you guys have the same challenge, but it's at least an issue for us that when you create content in Pure, per default, all a person's organizational affiliations are per default added to the content. And this is rarely correct because some researchers are part of many different research groups, and not all of these groups might be relevant for a specific piece of research output or project or so on. So it would be nice to get some help as to assess which of these organizational affiliations are relevant for this specific piece of content. So what I've done here is that I've defined a prompt where I say that, okay, this researcher is part of these 3 research groups. Please assess, based on this abstract, which of these research groups are relevant to this research output. It then provides you with an assessment where it says that, okay, based on the abstract you provided, these 2 groups are directly related, and the third one is potentially related. I think this is pretty nice. This is a pretty nice feature. It would of course require a lot of testing and so on to really conclude anything here. I have another example here where a researcher is part of 6 different research groups and centers, where you can also, have help as such to define which of these groups are relevant in this specific context. In order for something like this to be effective, this will of course have to be a native feature within an application like Pure. But wouldn't it be great if Pure could give you sort of a qualified assessment of, okay, I can see you're creating this piece of content based on the metadata we have. We probably can outrule some of these organizations, and we know that these are definitely relevant. So that's a way to make it more intelligent, when adding new content, so you don't dilute the data quality if you end up with a lot of research output which is related to unrelated organizations. So the last case here. I had an idea that it might be interesting to explore if ChatGPT can help write impact stories based on Pure data. How many of you are using the impact module in Pure? How many of you think it's difficult to define an impact and register an impact? Yeah, same here. So it's hard, it's time consuming. What is an impact? Do I have any blind angles? Am I missing potential context as a researcher? I don't know. So why not give ChatGPT a crack at this and see if I can get some help trying to figure out what the societal impact of my research might be. So what I've done in this case is that I found a research project in Pure, which has a project description, and it has some related publications. I've then created a prompt where I asked ChatGPT to write a 20 to 25 line description highlighting the direct and potential scientific or societal impact of this related project and these publications. It then generates a text, which of course has to be evaluated. I think the first example here is a bit generic, so I asked it to be a bit more specific on, please give me some concrete examples of how this could be implemented in different societal contexts. Got a bit more specific, I think here. I ended up with an interesting response here, with examples of 5 different contexts where this research project could have a potential impact. So I think this is definitely also an interesting finding. Obviously, again, this is something you would need your researchers involved in, but it's a really interesting way, to see your research, to get some feedback on your research. That you might be missing yourself. Are you missing any potential commercial opportunities? Are you missing any opportunities related to potential collaborators and so on? So I think there's also some potential here in terms of research impact in generative AI. Some reflections on all of this. Some of this is outside the scope of this presentation due to the time constraints, but these are important considerations to have in mind. First and foremost, it comes with a price in terms of money, because only GPT 3.5 is free to use. If you want to use GPT-4 or the OpenAI API, you have to pay. And on the API, you actually have to pay per query, so it's pretty expensive. Also, a few notes of caution on this. You of course want to consider if you want to write data from ChatGPT directly into Pure, or at least what types of data you want to write into Pure. You shouldn't trust the output blindly. And if you've tried ChatGPT, you probably know that it's not always a single source of truth. And from a machine perspective, a wrong answer might be better than no answer. So don't trust the output blindly. There are, of course, also ethical considerations. We probably need to establish some good practices in terms of using generative AI in research information management systems and in Pure also, of course. And then there are probably 300 issues related to GDPR, copyright, data ownership, energy consumption, and so on and so on. And these are all extremely important considerations, but as mentioned, I believe they're outside the scope of this presentation. Let me finish off with a few perspectives on this. So based on the experiments we've done here, I can see many ways to apply generative AI in Pure. We can use it as a tool to improve data quality. We can use it as a tool to generate new content in Pure. We can use it as a tool to identify relations between content. We can use it as a tool to find new collaborators we didn't know existed. We can use it as a tool to find commercial potential of our research. I mean, the possibilities are quite endless here. Prompting and priming is key when working with generative AI. So you should really embrace the dialogue with the machine, I believe. You should be aware of the different results you get when you use the API versus the UI, basing on what model you use and so on. And yeah, I believe getting started with this is quite easy, but mastering it is harder. This is sort of uncharted territory. Still sort of a black box what goes on. Trying to figure that out is a lot harder, I believe. And I'm in no way an expert on this, but I mean, we have to get started somewhere, right? Last but not least, I have a few ideas to, how to support this natively within Pure. I mean, it would be pretty cool if Pure could sort of have a function where it could, suggest an impact description based on the content you have in Pure, right? Sort of, AI on demand. Do you need help translating this project description into layman's language? Do you need help highlighting the commercial potential? Do you need help generating a CV, a narrative CV, a teaching portfolio? Do you need help writing a funding application? Do you need help analyzing this research from the report module? Or, yeah, much more. This is just the tip of the iceberg, and I believe the possibilities are really, endless here. But yeah, thanks for listening. Feel free to reach out if you have any ideas or want to network about this, or have any comments. And the scripts shown are also available here on GitHub, so feel free to pull them and improve the code. It's a bit rough at the moment. But thanks a lot for listening.